Good morning, everyone. Look at that. I'm having a nice background today and some interesting glasses. Well, I am very sorry I cannot be here at the time of the active meeting for the personal reasons today. So I thought I'll just give you a brief preview of the week in a 10-minute little video or less. So with that, let me just go up and share the screen with you guys of your class, of our class. Go. There we go. So I've been reading the Padlets and also answering some of the Padlets. If you go back and look at that, would probably be helpful for some of you, or just read the responses if you had a hard time with it, because I'm answering a few of them, and then when they're repetitive, I sort of don't answer them all of them. But what I've noticed is, well, a lot of gratitude from my side, because a lot of you seem to be appreciating the posture analysis, also the home office ergonomic evaluation, which makes my heart warm heavily, because these are sort of things where I, step out a little bit out of the norm to try to make this material real life based. And so I'm also, of course, always very interested in feedback of how to make it better. And as some of you notice, maybe I am changing things as I go along, trying to make it easier for you guys to upload or clarify where I'm not so clear. So with all these exercises, if something comes up that's not clear, just shoot me a pronto and I'll do as fast, responding as I can to that. But, the information in terms of the terminology information that we're going through is quite deep, and it's not easy for many of us to commit these terms to memory. And so what I suggest with that is, yeah, of course, flashcards is a great means, and we have. Let me just go right into the week 7 upper extremity muscles here, into this. The presentation of the material, and besides the videos and more videos, sorry, it's a little slow because I'm on Zoom here. I have this link here, that's the muscle picture flashcard link that I've already posted last week. But I think that might be very helpful to go and click on that link, and then you can see how all the muscles, well, maybe if the machine works, but all the muscles are sort of given individually in a cutout sized version that you can then, copy paste or paste it onto a flashcard, for example, or simply print it out and label it and give yourself some, help to memorize the muscles more, to visualize where they are, pec minor and transverse abdominis, et cetera, et cetera. So that's one thing I suggest. The other thing I want to be sure to tell you is to make sure you understand that the test is open book. The test is not a closed book test. And so you do not have to memorize all the terms. You more have to organize the information and understand the information. And I personally prefer that, because I think it is a lot of stuff to memorize. And so what I've also done here is I try to, put pictures in now that I find on OpenStack that I can utilize. As a matter of fact, most of those pictures are from the textbook that I link at the end as a reference. And so you can always go in there and reread things. They have tables in there to make it more clear what's going on, et cetera, et cetera. And so that's, I think, helpful. Also, what I've done in this section, and so when you look at the upper body muscles, upper extremities here, I've grouped them into shoulder anchors, rotator cuffs. These are the muscles that hold in the upper arm into the shoulder blade, and then movers of the arm movers. So those are actually the upper arm movers. Oh, it says upper arm movers, good. So that's the motion that happens in the shoulder with the humerus. And then elbow movers is bending elbow and straightening elbow, and then forearm movers, which include wrist flexion, extension, but also pronation and supination. So turning palm up and down, and also, wherever my thing is, flexing the wrist and extending the wrist. And then on this section, I've now added on the little cadaver video clips. And so I say the word cadaver because although this is an anatomy class and you in a normal setting, we work on cadavers, but some of us don't find it that appealing. But these clips are really, really clear and helpful. And they're like 15 seconds to a minute long, no longer, I think, or maybe a few, but most of them are like 15, 20 seconds, where some guy very nicely done points out the muscle on a dissected out cadaver. So you don't have to worry about seeing face or hands or anything like that. It's just you see the bones and you see the muscles. And so it's like you see the piece of meat, but it's really well done. And I would suggest you click on those. And so what I've done now is I put each individual muscle in a clip itself. Up here, what I've done is I put the clips all together, and you get a link to my Dropbox public file that then lists all of them up. There's about 100 of them. So I think this might be easier for you to just access it as you study the material. And then some of you guys had a hard time with the origin insertion data. And this data is right here, origin insertion action data, because on the color labeling, you also have to fill out those to just deepen the information more. Good, so that was the majority of my work there. And then in terms of presenting the material, and then we go back to then applying the whole thing. It's pretty much the way it's been for a few weeks now, where we basically do coloring, labeling, coloring. Where are we? Oh, it's a little slow. Sorry about that. There we are. So we do labeling and coloring. Again, same thing, where you can annotate either or print it out, or just make some of you make flashcards and then they take a picture of the flashcards, which is perfect. I really enjoy that. I need to have physical work with this materials, otherwise I space out and it gets too boring. So if you're like feeling like that, don't feel like you're alone. Don't feel like something's wrong. It's just the topic is, the science is a bit dry. And so then, also, of course, we have questions. Sorry about that. In the apply, we have questions again. Same thing, 14 of them, not too heavy. So this time you only have one question. So we're trying to slow the material down a little bit. This week we do upper extremity, and the next week we do lower extremity, and then we can open the test, and you guys can sort of take that. We'll keep it open for a while. That way you can work your way through the material. All right, and then in addition to lab, we're going to do a posture evaluation discussion. Just talk to each other a little bit. What did you learn? For me, it's also important, if you be honest about it. Was it boring? Was it fun? Was it good? Was it weird? I'm also trying to, make sure you guys don't feel too weird. So don't worry about uploading pictures if you don't feel comfortable about that. But talk to each other a little bit about it, and then we can conclude that posture evaluation. But that way we process it a little bit more. And then this week, we're going to have one more health kit, an injury prevention evaluation. And I've worked really hard on that a few years ago for class, but also patients, particularly patients. And so I've allocated 2 weeks to that. So this is a 2-week project. It's 40 points. I think, estimate about 4 hours altogether, although that's probably variable depending on it's a little hard to gauge that, but just that way it gives you a little idea of how big the exercise is. What I've done here is I compiled simple orthopedic tests that one can do at home, such as like squatting or holding a side bridge, or lowering the lower legs, or holding up the neck, or even doing a stair step test or a balance test. And these are all tests that are designed. I didn't come up with them, but I've learned them over time and in chiropractic, and then I decided to make them accessible for the public more and not make it so complicated in the language. And so I've done this pamphlet here. Here it is. You can link to it. There's a link here, and if you link to that. Oh, now that looks weird when my fake glasses and I rub my eyes, huh? They don't break. Where are we here? It's a little slow. Should have pulled this up. Oh, look at that. I have it up here. Here it is. Alrighty. There we go. So this is I think a 12-pager, mostly pictures, a little bit of reading. So I want you to read through that and get a better understanding of what I'm talking about, a little bit of muscle bone function. And then we go into these tests. We have this normative data here, like, how should you be able to do that? Should is always an interesting word, right? So don't take that too serious, but gives you a gauge, and if we're not in that part here, if we're like way below that and we fall over, maybe it'd be interesting to think about doing a few balancing exercises, for example. This here is important as we get older, because as we get older, we lose feeling in the feet more and more, and so we have to balance more with our eyesight. And that gets hard when we, for example, when it's an unsteady surface or an uneven surface, or it gets dark. And so keeping the agility is very important. Then we have a squat test, we have a side bridge, straight leg raises. So these are all testing strength and flexibilities of muscles and mostly muscles. It's mostly strength and flexibility, that if we don't have those fairly well developed, we're prone to injury, especially if we're like weekend warriors. But no, that's not true. Also professional athletes, because a lot of professional athletes, for example, get hamstring issues, especially like baseball, but also football and others. And so these are also tests for athletes to do and to know and make sure, am I flexible enough, or should I work more on one area or another area? And so I want you to do that. This is my messy room in the background, 3 houses ago. But this is a little virtunar, I called it, the virtual seminar. Did never take off as a term, of course, but that was just beginning of Corona Zoom time. Well, listen to that maybe if you'd like. Gives you a little introduction. It's 30 minutes long. It works through what we're doing in that pamphlet. And then I want you to answer questions. Ta-da! Questions for here, and then do the tests. As you do the tests, these questions go with the tests. If you experience pain, stop the test, text me, or don't worry about that part of the test. Just don't torture yourself, but don't be a wimp either. But pain, fatigue is one thing, pain is a different thing. We don't want to make things worse if you have an injury already. And also, if certain exercise, emotionally trigger us, or talking about it emotionally triggers us, be gentle with yourself. If it's really bad, reach out to me and we can talk about it and figure out what to do instead with this situation. And then you work your way through that. And at the end of the day, you upload this to Canvas, either, any format you like. I always like videos, personally. Typing is fine. You can even write it. You can even write it out or draw it out if you'd like. Whatever works for you guys. I personally have a hard time depending on how much writing I have to do, and so I want to be sensitive to that. All right, and that's that in terms of the exercise. Here's the rubric. Nothing more than what I already talked about, and there we go. I think that's good. I think that's all I have to worry about today. One more thing I want to tell you that I forgot to do, and I will add on that, is up here under the learning section. Let me see if I pasted it in here. Hold on real quick, sorry. I got this, XX week, so I can copy paste it. It's a lot of work to build this thing. It's really fun though, so don't get me wrong. I like it. Yeah, oops. I do have it here, so I will put that up. I have a study tip where I have a muscle chart that I created. And if you click on that muscle chart, and I will make it active in a little bit, it gives you, for the upper and lower extremities, it gives you all the origins, the insertions, and the actions of all those muscles that we're talking about. See, here's upper extremities, muscles connecting the shoulder to the axial skeleton. Gosh, this is a weird thing here. Sorry about that. The Wi-Fi is hecka slow. But this is an overview kind of chart that I've created, meaning, you know, and I've made it so it's not, the details of the muscle attachments is not that crazy. It's more like a little bit of an area that I want, because some of the textbooks go really into a lot of details, and that makes it really difficult for a lot of us to visualize and also take in, because it's so much information. So take a look of that once I've uploaded that, and maybe that you can print it out. Maybe that's helpful for you. All right, that's that, and that's it. I think that's all I have. So hopefully you will enjoy this week. Hopefully it's getting a little bit easier. And with that, I wish you a wonderful time. Again, reach out for Pronto if you need me, or email. But Pronto is the quickest. That way I get it on my phone and I can respond back as swiftly as possible. All right. Have a nice time. Bye-bye.